Arya hung upside down inside the crushed car, blood running across her forehead as growls closed in from the darkness. Then 3 enormous wolves appeared outside the shattered window. She expected teeth. Instead, 2 of them began tearing apart the twisted metal to reach her, while the third stood guard. When one wolf looked directly into her eyes, something impossible stirred inside her. A flash of recognition she couldn't explain. Arya didn't know which of those wolves had recognized her, or why. She only knew this rescue was about to pull her into a world she never knew existed. Chapter 1. Trust the road, Arya. You're safe here. Those were the words Arya Thorne's father had given her before she left the city that morning. But safety, Arya was about to discover, could disappear in a single heartbeat. The deer came out of nowhere. 1 second, Arya was singing with the radio, both hands steady on the wheel as she followed the winding mountain road. The next, a huge buck stood frozen directly in her headlights, terror reflected in its eyes. Arya jerked the wheel hard to the right. The tires screamed across pavement slick with evening frost. The car spun. The guardrail rushed toward her too quickly. Then there was only air. Arya's scream caught in her throat as the vehicle plunged down the embankment. Metal shrieked. Glass exploded. Earth and sky spun together until pain became the only thing she could understand. At last, the car stopped rolling. It came to rest upside down against a cluster of pine trees. Arya hung from her seatbelt, dazed and gasping. Blood from a cut on her forehead ran into her eyes. Every breath sent pain through her ribs. Beyond the shattered windshield was absolute darkness, the suffocating darkness of deep wilderness. Then she heard a growl. It came low and deep from somewhere outside. Then another answered. The sound seemed to surround the wreckage. Arya's breathing turned sharp and frantic. She searched for her phone, but it had vanished somewhere during the crash. Her fingers found the seatbelt release. She pressed it. Arya dropped onto the roof of the overturned car with a cry. Pain exploded through her left ankle. Outside, the growling moved closer. She looked through the shattered driver's side window. 3 pairs of eyes gleamed beneath the moonlight. Wolves. But they were far larger than any wolves Arya had ever seen. 1 pair of eyes burned amber. Another shone silver. The third looked almost black, threaded with gold. Arya's heart slammed painfully against her injured ribs. She knew wolf attacks on humans were rare. But statistics meant nothing when 3 enormous predators were surrounding an injured woman trapped inside a wrecked car. She was bleeding. She couldn't run. To them, she had to look like prey. The amber-eyed wolf approached first, its enormous head lowered toward the broken window. Arya scrambled backward despite the agony in her ankle until her back hit the passenger side door. There was nowhere else to go. But the wolf didn't attack. Instead, it made a strange sound, somewhere between a whine and a growl, almost concerned. Then 1 massive paw scraped against the bent metal around the door. Arya stared. The animal was trying to widen the opening. "What are you doing?" she whispered, her throat raw from screaming. The silver-eyed wolf joined it. Together, the 2 wolves pulled and clawed at the twisted frame with a level of coordination that made no sense. Steel groaned under their strength. Behind them, the black and gold-eyed wolf remained perfectly still, watching the forest like a guard. Arya desperately searched for an explanation. Shock, blood loss, a hallucination. That had to be it. Wolves didn't rescue people. They didn't cooperate like this. They didn't. The damaged door frame tore loose with a shriek of metal. The amber-eyed wolf pushed its head through the opening. It was close enough that Arya could feel its warm breath against her freezing skin. Its eyes locked onto hers. Something jolted through her. Recognition. Not hers. His. The thought made no sense, but she felt it anyway. Those amber eyes were too aware. Too intelligent. Almost human. Then the wolf carefully caught her jacket between its teeth. It pulled. Arya screamed as her injured ankle dragged over broken glass, but the wolf continued until she was free of the wreckage. The silver-eyed wolf immediately moved beneath one of her arms. The amber-eyed wolf took the other side. Together, they supported her weight. Arya's vision blurred. This couldn't be happening. Two wolves were helping her walk. The black and gold-eyed wolf took the lead, moving through the forest while the others carried her behind him. "I'm dreaming," Arya whispered. Her voice shook. "I'm still in that car. I'm dying, and this is my brain shutting down." The amber-eyed wolf made the same low, almost worried sound. Its gaze met hers again, and Arya could have sworn she saw something inside those eyes. An apology, a promise, a desperate need to tell her something without words. The wolves carried her deeper into the forest, following paths Arya couldn't even see. Her ankle throbbed with every movement. Her head spun. Blood continued dripping from the wound on her forehead. She knew she should be terrified. She should be struggling. Instead, shock and exhaustion were dragging her toward unconsciousness, and the heat of the two enormous bodies pressed against her was the only thing keeping the mountain cold from taking her. Time became meaningless. Arya drifted in and out, aware only of paws moving steadily across the earth, and 6 strange eyes repeatedly checking her condition. Amber, silver, black and gold. They watched her as though keeping her alive mattered more than anything else. When Arya opened her eyes again, the forest was gone. Firelight flickered across wooden walls. She was lying in an actual bed beneath thick blankets smelling of pine, smoke, and something wild she couldn't identify. Her ankle had been wrapped in fresh bandages. The cut on her forehead had been cleaned and covered with gauze. Arya tried to sit up. Pain ripped through her body. "Don't move." She froze. The voice came from the shadows near the fireplace. Male, deep, rough, as though its owner wasn't accustomed to speaking often. "You're safe," the man said, "but you're badly hurt." He stepped into the firelight. Arya stopped breathing for a moment. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair falling beyond his collar. But his eyes were what held her. Amber. The exact same amber she had seen in the forest. "Who are you?" Arya managed. "Where am I?" "My name is Cade." He moved closer, then deliberately stopped several feet from the bed, as though he didn't want to frighten her. "You're in my cabin. My brothers and I found you after the accident." "Your brothers?" Arya stared at his eyes. "The wolves." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "That was you." Cade's jaw tightened. For several seconds he said nothing. Then he answered, "You should rest. We can talk when you're stronger." "No." Arya clutched the blanket. Every rational instinct told her she was in danger. Yet something deeper, something she couldn't understand, felt strangely safe around him. "Tell me the truth. What are you?" Cade's amber eyes met hers. She saw the same desperate need for understanding she'd seen in the wolf. "We're what humans call shifters," he finally said. "Werewolves, if you prefer the old name." He stopped. His hands clenched at his sides. "And you? What about me? You shouldn't have survived that crash. You shouldn't even be here. But the second I caught your scent on the wind, I knew." His voice lowered. "My wolf knew." Arya swallowed. "Knew what?" Cade looked caught between wonder and fear. "That you're mine." Chapter 2. The Brothers. Arya's heart stumbled. "I'm what?" "My mate." The word came from Cade as if he'd dragged it out of the deepest part of himself. "The one the moon chooses for us. The single soul in the world that completes ours." The room seemed to tilt. Arya touched the bandage on her forehead, needing something solid to remind herself that she was awake. The crash was real. The wolves were real. Shifters were real. And this stranger with the same amber eyes as the wolf was claiming she belonged to him. "That's insane," she whispered. "I don't even know you." "I know." Cade's fists remained tight at his sides. I know how this sounds. I know what you must be thinking. But the mate bond doesn't ask permission. It simply exists. Before Arya could answer, the cabin door opened. 2 men entered. She recognized them instantly. Not their faces. Their eyes. Silver. And black threaded with gold. The silver-eyed man was slimmer than Cade, with ash-blonde hair and sharp, almost beautiful features hardened by a serious expression. He carried an armful of firewood, but his attention immediately went to Arya. "She's awake," he said in a cool, measured voice. "Good. Her vitals were worrying me." The third man was enormous, even larger than Cade. His dark hair was tied back, exposing a hard face marked by a thin scar over his left cheekbone. He said nothing. His black and gold gaze alone was intense enough to make Arya's breath catch. "My brothers," Cade said. "Ash, our healer. And Riker." Cade glanced toward the huge man. "Riker keeps us alive." Arya stared at all 3. "You were the wolves, all 3 of you. You pulled me out of the car." Ash placed the firewood beside the hearth. "Your vehicle was leaking fuel. Another few minutes and it would have caught fire. We didn't have a choice." "No choice except revealing yourselves to a human," Arya said. Her thoughts raced as the implications settled in. "Isn't that dangerous?" "I've heard the legends. Your kind is supposed to stay hidden." Riker finally spoke. His voice was a deep rumble. "She asks good questions." "Too good," Ash replied. He approached the bed and reached toward Arya's wrist. She jerked away. Ash immediately stopped and lifted his hands. "I need to check your pulse. You lost blood, and you may have a concussion." Arya looked at Cade. He gave her a small, reassuring nod. Reluctantly, she extended her arm. Ash pressed cool fingers against her wrist, his manner professional and detached. "Fast," he murmured, "but steady. That's encouraging." He pulled a small flashlight from his pocket. "Follow the light." Arya obeyed while he checked her pupils. Up close, Ash's silver eyes were almost colorless, with darker lines running through them like fractures in ice. "The concussion is mild," he concluded. "Your ankle is sprained, not broken, and the head wound looks more dramatic than it is. Scalp injuries bleed heavily. With rest, you'll recover." "How long?" "At least a week, possibly 2 before you're walking normally." Panic entered Arya's voice. "I can't stay here for 2 weeks. I have work, an apartment. My father is going to panic when I don't call." "Your phone was destroyed," Cade said gently, "and the closest town is 40 miles from here. There's no cell service in these mountains." Arya's chest tightened. "Then, take me to town. Take me to a hospital. I can call my father from." "No hospitals." Riker's answer cut through the room. He stepped closer, his body blocking part of the firelight. "The questions would expose us." He paused. "And you?" "Me?" Arya gave a bitter laugh. "What is that supposed to mean?" Cade moved between Riker and the bed. The protective gesture didn't escape her notice. "He means that once anyone knows you've seen us, once you tell anyone what we are, you become a target." "A target for who?" "Hunters. There are organizations devoted to finding shifters. They have money, weapons, and no mercy. They'd torture you for information and kill you afterward so you couldn't talk." Arya stared at him. "So I'm a prisoner?" "No." Cade's amber eyes flashed. "You're protected. Is there really a difference?" She refused to look away. "Because from where I'm lying, my choices are, stay here and protect your secret, or leave and die." Ash exchanged a glance with Riker. A silent conversation passed between them. Finally, Ash spoke. "The mate bond makes this more complicated. Cade's wolf recognized you. We can't simply pretend that didn't happen." "Then explain it to me." Arya forced herself more upright despite the pain in her ribs. "What does this bond actually mean?" Cade sat in a chair beside the bed, but kept careful distance between them. "It means the wolf inside me chose you as its other half. It's beyond attraction, beyond ordinary love. It's something deeper. My wolf will do anything to keep you safe, stay near you, to... He stopped. His fingers tightened around the chair until the wood creaked. To what? Arya asked. Claim you, Riker answered for him. Mark you as pack, as his. A chill moved over Arya's skin. And if I don't want that? Silence filled the cabin. When Cade finally spoke, his voice was rough. Then I'll fight my wolf every day for the rest of my life, and as soon as you're healed, you'll be free to leave. He held her gaze. I swear it. Arya heard the truth. She also heard the cost. He wasn't threatening her. He was giving her a choice, even though that choice might destroy him. Why? She asked quietly. Why would you do that? Cade looked at her, and for one moment his amber eyes seemed impossibly old. Because you deserve to choose your own path, even if it leads away from me. Ash broke the silence. She needs sleep and food. The complexities of mate bonds can wait until she has more strength. Right on cue, Arya's stomach growled. Despite the fear and confusion, she was starving. Cade immediately stood. I'll make soup, something gentle. He left quickly. Arya thought she saw relief on his face. The relief of having something practical to do, instead of sitting there with the possibility of her rejection. Riker stayed near the doorway. His massive arms crossed over his chest. You hurt him. Arya stared at him. I've known him for minutes. I didn't ask for this. No one asks for a mate. Riker's tone became unexpectedly quiet. But some of us wait lifetimes. Cade has waited longer than most. He left before Arya could answer, closing the door with surprising gentleness. Ash remained behind, adjusting the bandage on her ankle. How long? Arya asked. Ash looked up. How long has he waited? Cade is 247 years old. Arya stared at him. In all that time, Ash continued, he's never found his mate. Most of us never do. We live a very long time, and many of us live it alone. He secured the bandage. Until 3 hours ago, Cade had stopped believing he'd ever find you. The words settled heavily over Arya. 247 years. And now she was supposed to be the answer to that loneliness? A random woman who had crashed on the wrong mountain road? I don't believe in fate, she said. Her voice wasn't as certain as she wanted it to be. Ash gathered his supplies. Fate doesn't need you to believe in it. He paused at the door. But Cade meant what he said. He will let you leave. His silver eyes turned serious. Even if it kills him. Then Ash left. Arya remained alone beside the fire, trapped beneath the weight of a choice she had never asked to make. Chapter 3. The First Meal. The soup tasted better than anything Arya could remember eating. The broth was rich, filled with soft vegetables and unfamiliar herbs that seemed to warm her all the way through. Cade had carried it in on a wooden tray with fresh bread and a clay mug of water. After setting the food beside her, he retreated to the far side of the room. Like a wolf determined not to crowd an injured member of its pack. Arya ate slowly. She could feel him watching her. Not hungrily. Protectively. As though he feared she might disappear the moment he looked away. Did you cook this? She asked. Yes. Cade's voice was quiet. Cooking helps me think. It's good. She took another spoonful. Really good. A faint smile appeared on his face. My mother's recipe, she taught me before. The smile vanished. Before what? Before hunters found our pack. Cade's gaze drifted toward the fire. I was 17, by human standards. They attacked at dawn. Silver bullets. Fire. My mother died protecting the younger wolves. My father died, buying time for the rest of us to escape. Arya's spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. I'm sorry. It happened 230 years ago. But the pain in his voice hadn't aged at all. Ash, Riker, and I were the only survivors. We've been running ever since. Staying hidden. staying alive. That's why you're here, Arya realized. So far from everyone. Isolation keeps us alive. Cade crossed his arms. Humans bring discovery. Discovery brings death. Then why save me? The question escaped before she could stop it. If humans are that dangerous, why didn't you leave me in the wreck? Cade's eyes flashed. His wolf rose behind them. Because you're mine. The word came out almost as a growl. Cade immediately drew in a hard breath. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. No. Arya set down the spoon. Don't apologize for answering my question honestly. They watched each other through the firelight. Cade looked perhaps 30 years old. Strong features. Dark hair falling over his forehead. But his eyes carried centuries. What does it feel like? Arya asked. The bond? Cade remained silent for several seconds. Then his voice turned raw. Like breathing after you've been drowning. Like seeing light after centuries in darkness. Like realizing every day before you existed was only waiting. He stepped away from the wall and came slightly closer. My wolf knows you. Not only your scent or your face, it knows something deeper, your soul. His jaw tightened. And letting you go would tear me apart from inside. Arya's pulse quickened. But you said you would. I will. The answer clearly hurt him, because forcing you to stay would make me no better than the hunters who took everything from me. You deserve freedom. He looked directly into her eyes. Even if your freedom destroys me. Something in Arya's defenses shifted. This man could overpower her effortlessly. Yet he was offering her the right to walk away from the thing he'd waited more than 2 centuries to find. I don't understand you, she whispered. I don't expect you to. Cade reached for the empty tray. Without thinking, Arya caught his wrist. The instant their skin touched, electricity seemed to pass between them. Cade froze. His entire body went rigid. Amber disappeared from his eyes, replaced by brilliant gold. And Arya felt something too. A pull inside her chest. An invisible cord she hadn't known existed until that moment. Her palm burned where it touched him, but there was no pain. Only recognition. What is that? She breathed. The bond. Cade's voice sounded strained. It's trying to complete itself. Arya knew she should release him. Instead, she couldn't move. The warmth traveling from his skin into hers felt disturbingly familiar, like arriving home after wandering for years. Then the cabin door slammed open. Ash stood there, alarm in his silver eyes. We have a problem. Cade tore himself away from Arya. The sudden loss of contact felt almost painful. What kind of problem? The kind carrying rifles and tracking equipment. Ash's voice went cold. Hunters, 3 miles south, heading directly toward us. The atmosphere inside the cabin changed instantly. Riker appeared behind Ash, already preparing to move. They must have found the crash, he said. Then the blood trail we left carrying her here. Arya went cold. They're searching for me? They're searching for us, Cade replied. His warmth had vanished from his voice. He sounded like a man preparing for war. You were simply the trail that brought them here. Guilt hit Arya. This is my fault, the accident, my blood. No. Cade crossed the room and gently cupped her face. This is what our lives have always been. You didn't create the hunters, Arya. They've hunted our kind for centuries. If not tonight, they would have found us eventually. Riker turned to Ash. How much time? 2 hours. 3 if we're lucky and they stop. Ash began pulling supplies from a cabinet. We need to move her. She can't walk, Cade said. Her ankle. Then, we carry her. Riker was already fastening weapons around his waist, silver-edged knives catching the firelight. There's a cave network 5 miles north. Once we're inside the tunnels, they won't track us. Arya stared at them. You're abandoning this place because of me? We're abandoning it because we'd prefer to remain alive, Ash corrected. But this is your home. Arya looked around at the handmade furniture and the small signs of years spent building a life there. You're losing everything because things can be replaced. Cade's eyes fixed on hers. You can't. The certainty in his voice left Arya speechless. Ash threw him a pack. Take what matters, 10 minutes. The brothers worked without needing instructions. Ash packed medicines. Riker gathered weapons and food. Cade folded clothing and blankets with quick, practiced movements. Arya watched from the bed, useless and ashamed. They were leaving their home because she'd swerved to avoid a deer, because she'd bled on their mountain, because Cade's wolf had recognized her. I'm sorry, she said. Cade looked up. For what? Ruining your lives. Something fierce crossed his face. He covered the room in 3 strides and knelt beside the bed until his eyes were level with hers. Listen to me. His voice was low and absolute. You haven't ruined anything. He paused. You are everything. Arya stared at him. My wolf has howled alone in the dark for 2 centuries, Cade continued. The second I caught your scent, it sang. His hand closed around hers. You aren't a burden, Arya Thorne. You're the answer to a prayer I stopped believing would ever be answered. Tears burned in her eyes. You don't even know me. Then let me. The bond surged between their joined hands. Give me time. Give me one chance. And when this is finished, when you're healed and safe, if you still want to leave, I'll take you anywhere you choose. Why? Her voice cracked. Why would you do that? Cade's thumb moved gently across her palm. Because real love isn't possession. He held her gaze. It's wanting someone else's happiness more than your own. Before Arya could respond, Riker interrupted. Time's over. They're moving faster than we expected. Cade stood. The tenderness vanished behind a warrior's expression. How close? Mile and a half, maybe less. Riker shouldered his pack. We leave now. Cade turned back to Arya. Will you trust me? His amber eyes held hers. Will you let us protect you? Arya looked at the 3 brothers. Cade, carrying impossible hope. Ash, calm and practical. Riker, built for violence and already prepared to use it. They were creatures from legends, strangers, monsters, according to every story she'd ever heard. But they had saved her life. And now they were giving up everything they owned to keep her alive. Arya drew a shaking breath. Yes. She nodded. I trust you. Relief broke across Cade's face. He bent and lifted her effortlessly into his arms. Arya instinctively wrapped hers around his neck. The mate bond pulsed between them like something alive. Hold tight, Cade murmured near her hair. This won't be easy. Then they were moving. Ash led. Riker guarded the rear. Cade carried Arya out into the cold night. Behind them, the cabin remained warm and bright among the trees. They would never return to it. The forest closed around them, and somewhere behind, the hunters were coming closer. Chapter 4. The Hunt. Every sound in the forest made Arya's pulse jump. A branch breaking. Leaves shifting. Wind moving between the trees. Cade traveled through the darkness with unnatural grace, keeping Arya steady in his arms even over rough ground. Ash led along trails invisible to her. Riker followed behind, his huge frame disappearing and reappearing between shadows. After half an hour, Cade stopped without warning. What is it? Arya whispered. Quiet. His answer was barely louder than breath. They're close. Ash lifted one hand. Everyone froze. Then Arya heard them. Voices in the distance. Men calling positions to one another. Boots breaking branches. The metallic click of weapons being prepared. They separated, Riker murmured as he appeared beside them. They're covering more ground. How many? Cade asked. I smell 6, Ash said. Possibly 7. Their movement sounds military trained. 6 or 7 armed hunters. 3 wolves. 1 injured human. Arya's stomach tightened. We can't outrun them while carrying her, Riker said. Not unless we shift. Cade's arms tightened around Arya. If I shift, my wolf may refuse to release her. Then we fight. Riker reached toward a knife. No, Ash said instantly. Fighting creates noise. Noise brings the rest of them. We disappear. A branch cracked nearby. A man's shout followed from less than 50 yards away. Flashlight beams swept through the trees. Riker turned. Go. I'll draw them away. Riker, go. He deliberately crashed through brush, creating as much noise as possible. I'll meet you at the caves. He stopped for 1 second. His black and gold gaze went to Arya. And if I don't? Riker looked at Cade. Protect your mate, brother. Then he vanished into the forest. The hunters immediately changed direction. There. Movement. Their voices followed Riker. Ash took off in the opposite direction. This way, fast. Cade followed. Arya pressed her face against his chest, trying not to imagine Riker deliberately leading armed men away from them. He'll survive, Cade murmured. She wasn't sure whether he was comforting her or himself. Riker has survived worse. They ran. Arya clung to Cade, painfully aware that she contributed nothing but weight. Through the mate bond, she felt his heartbeat, his determination, and the wolf beneath his skin raging at anyone who threatened her. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The hunters grew quieter behind them. Hope began to rise. Then Ash stopped so suddenly Cade almost hit him. Blood. His voice dropped. Human. Fresh. They found the body 30 feet farther ahead. A hunter, or what remained of one. His throat had been torn open. Deep claw wounds crossed his chest. The blood was still warm enough to steam in the cold air. Riker? Cade asked. Ash knelt beside the corpse. No. He studied the wounds. Wrong claw pattern. Smaller. His expression hardened. Female. Arya's breath caught. There are more wolves? We're inside Blackwater territory, Ash answered. We've always avoided them. Cade's face darkened. Then we have hunters behind us, and a hostile pack ahead. A howl cut through the trees. High. Eerie. A signal. Ash rose. They've marked our presence. Their alpha will hear that. She? Arya asked. Selene Blackwater, Cade said. The most ruthless alpha in the Northern Territories. His hold on Arya tightened. Her wolves don't share territory. Ash added, and they don't negotiate. Another howl answered. Then another. Then another. How many? Cade asked. At least 6. Ash started moving. The caves are our only chance. They pushed harder. Behind them, the howling multiplied into a net slowly closing around them. Arya's ankle screamed with each jarring step, but she swallowed every sound. The forest thinned. Stone began replacing trees. Jagged rock rose from the earth. Ash passed between 2 enormous boulders. A cliff appeared ahead, covered in dark cave openings. Which one? Cade asked. 3rd from the left. It connects with the main tunnels. Ash pointed ahead. The minerals inside should confuse their sense of smell. The entrance was only 10 feet away when 6 wolves emerged from the darkness. They surrounded them with perfect precision. The Blackwater wolves were smaller than Cade, Ash, and Riker in wolf form, but their formation revealed years of hunting together. The largest moved forward. A silver-coated female with pale, ice-colored eyes. Even as a wolf, authority radiated from her. Selene Blackwater. She shifted. The transformation happened so smoothly that Arya gasped. 1 second there was a wolf. The next, a silver-haired woman stood before them, pale skin marked with ritual scars. She showed no concern for her nakedness. Her icy gaze remained fixed on Cade. Trespassers. Her voice was beautiful and cold. In my territory. Then she noticed Arya, with a human. Celine inhaled. Her expression changed. No. A cruel smile touched her lips. Not merely a human. She looked at Cade. She carries the scent of a mate bond. Her smile widened. How inconvenient. Cade carefully placed Arya down and stepped in front of her. We're passing through. We'll be gone before dawn. Passing through? Celine laughed. You arrive with hunters behind you and blood in my territory. Her eyes hardened. You brought war to my doorstep. That requires payment. Ash moved beside Cade. His posture showed respect without surrender. Name your price, Alpha. We'll pay. Celine's gaze moved over Arya. The human. Cade went still. Give her to me, and you may cross my territory unharmed. No. The word came from Cade as a growl. Celine raised one eyebrow. No? She looked almost amused. You would sacrifice your brothers for one fragile human? Cade's amber eyes turned gold. She's my mate, and I'll die before I let anyone take her. The Blackwater wolves moved closer. Celine lifted one hand and stopped them. Your mate. She studied Arya again. Rare, precious. Her smile became cruel and tragic. Celine, Ash began. Do you know what happens to trespassers? Celine spoke almost casually. I offer them a choice. Join my pack and submit to my authority, or die where they stand. She gestured toward Arya. But Cade of no pack, you have a third choice. Cade's voice tightened. What choice? Prove she's worth protecting. Celine stepped closer. Challenge me for passage rights. Win, and you and your brothers cross my land unharmed. Your human lives. She allowed the silence to stretch. Lose, and I take everything. Your life. Your brother's freedom. Her icy gaze settled on Arya. And your mate becomes mine, to use however I choose. Arya grabbed Cade's arm. Don't. There has to be another way. Cade never looked away from Celine. What are the terms? Cade, no, Ash warned. Cade repeated it. What are the terms? Celine smiled. 3 trials. Strength, cunning, will. She moved even closer. Survive all 3, and you've earned passage. Then her expression hardened. I've ruled these mountains for 60 years, Cade. No challenger has ever survived my trials. Her wolves growled with anticipation. Cade looked back at Arya. For one moment, apology and desperate hope filled his amber eyes. Then he faced Celine. I accept. Chapter 5. The First Trial. You're insane. Arya grabbed Cade's shirt. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. He covered her hand with his. It's the only way to keep you safe. Safe. You could die. Then I'll die protecting my mate. His amber eyes held hers. There are worse ways to die. Celine clapped once. The sound echoed from the cliffs. Touching, but sentiment won't save you. At her gesture, the Blackwater wolves formed a circle around a flat area of stone. The first trial begins now. Ash leaned toward Cade. Her trials are built to kill people. Everyone knows that. There's no shame in running. There is for me. Cade released Arya's hand. Watch her. Cade. Please, brother. His voice cracked. If I fail, take her away from this mountain, as far as you can. Ash's jaw tightened. Finally, he nodded. He helped Arya sit on a boulder beside the circle, supporting her injured ankle. Celine stood at the center. The trial of strength, she announced. Simple and primal. Her eyes fixed on Cade. Shift. Fight me. She smiled. The first to submit or die loses. And yes, I fight to kill. Cade removed his shirt. Arya saw muscle, old scars, and evidence of battles that had happened long before she was born. He had survived more than 2 centuries, but Celine had controlled these mountains for 60 years. How many challengers had died beneath her teeth? Cade. He looked back. Arya forced strength into her voice. Don't you dare die on me. Something fierce flashed in his eyes. Yes, ma'am. Then Cade shifted. It wasn't the slow, grotesque transformation Arya had seen in films. It happened naturally. Fluidly. One moment a man stood before her. The next, an enormous dark wolf stared through amber eyes. Beautiful. Terrifying. Selene shifted as well. Her silver coat caught the moonlight. She was smaller, but her confidence made that difference seem meaningless. This was her territory, her pack, her game. The surrounding wolves began to howl. Then Selene attacked. She struck with shocking speed, diving low toward Cade's throat. He twisted. Her teeth snapped on empty air. She pivoted and slashed his shoulder before jumping beyond his reach. Blood appeared in his fur. Selene circled. Cade watched carefully. He was stronger. She was quicker. She feinted one direction and attacked from the other, catching his foreleg between her teeth. Cade yelped and tore free. She's wearing him down, Ash murmured. Can he beat her? Arya asked. Ash didn't answer immediately. I don't know. His silver eyes never left the fight. I've never seen him fight with this much to lose. Selene attacked again. This time Cade met her head-on. He used his greater weight to slam her against the ground. They rolled through the dirt, fangs flashing. When they separated, both were bleeding. Selene had a deep wound along her side. Cade's shoulder and foreleg were torn. The silver alpha narrowed her eyes. She had underestimated him. Her next attack was faster and far more vicious. She tore at Cade's ear. Claws ripped across his face, but Cade refused to retreat. Arya felt more than his physical pain through the bond. She felt his fear, the fear that he would fail her, the fear that he wasn't enough, the same fear left behind by the pack he'd been unable to save centuries earlier. You're enough, Arya whispered. She knew he couldn't possibly hear her. You're enough. Cade's eyes suddenly found hers across the circle. For one heartbeat, everything seemed still. Then he stumbled. Arya's heart stopped. But something in Cade's posture changed. He was pretending. Selene believed him injured. She lunged for his exposed throat. At the final instant, Cade twisted aside. Her momentum carried her beyond him. His jaws closed around her rear leg. He pulled. Selene crashed to the ground. Cade was on her instantly. His teeth hovered over her throat. He didn't bite. He didn't need to. Submit. Or die. The howling stopped. Only the harsh breathing of the two wolves remained. Selene could still fight. Arya could see the calculation in her pale eyes, but she also knew Cade now had the killing position. Slowly, Selene lowered her head. Submission. The movement was tiny. Her entire pack recognized it. Cade released her and moved back. Blood ran from wounds all over his body. Both shifted into human form. Selene rose with calm dignity despite the blood running down her leg. Cade swayed. Well fought, Selene said. Her tone had become more assessing than mocking. You survived the trial of strength. A pack member brought her a robe. Another brought clothing for Cade. He dressed stiffly. Arya wanted to go to him. Ash held her back. Not yet. His voice was quiet. The trials aren't finished. Selene slowly circled Cade. You're stronger than I expected. Smarter too. But strength won't save you from the next trial. Her cruel smile returned. Cunning requires another form of survival. She gestured. 3 wolves dragged someone from the darkness. Arya's breath caught. Riker. Silver chains bound his body. Wherever the metal touched him, angry red burns covered his skin. His face was bruised and his clothing torn. But his black and gold eyes still burned with defiance. Riker. Cade started toward him. Selene stopped him with one raised hand. Your brother was caught trying to circle back and help you. Her mouth curved. Noble. A pause. Stupid. Then another. But noble. She stood beside Riker. The trial of cunning is simple. I ask 3 riddles. Answer every one correctly, and your brother walks free. Selene placed a silver dagger against Riker's throat. Fail once, and I open him from his neck to his stomach. Riker growled. Don't do it, Cade. Let her kill me. Get Arya out. Selene pressed the blade harder until blood appeared. Silence, or I'll remove your tongue before we begin. Riker stopped speaking. His eyes promised revenge. Cade stood pale and bloodied before them. What are your riddles, Alpha? Selene smiled. Listen closely. There are no second chances. She began. I am taken from a mine and locked inside a wooden case. I am never released from that case, yet nearly everyone uses me. What am I? Arya's mind immediately began working. Her father had given her riddles as a child, teaching her to think sideways instead of accepting the obvious answer. Cade answered first. Pencil lead. Graphite comes from a mine, is enclosed in wood, and is used without being removed. Disappointment flashed across Selene's face. Correct, she continued. The more you take away from me, the larger I become. What am I? Cade frowned. Arya watched him search for the answer, something that grew when material was removed. A hole, Cade said. The more you take out, the bigger it gets. Correct again. Selene's voice turned colder. You're clever. Let's see whether cleverness saves you now. She leaned closer to Riker. The knife never left his throat. Final riddle, and I created this one specifically for you. Every wolf seemed to lean forward. Selene looked directly at Cade. I am what you seek but can never truly possess. I am promised but never delivered. I am dreamed of, yet I destroy you when you finally find me. Her smile vanished. What am I? Cade went blank. This wasn't an ordinary riddle. It was personal, designed not simply to test his mind, but to wound him. Selene pushed the silver blade slightly deeper against Riker's throat. 10 seconds, Wolf. Her voice became almost gentle. Then your brother dies. Chapter 6. The Answer. 9. Cade had gone white. Through the mate bond, Arya felt his panic. Wild. Desperate. What you seek but can never truly have, she thought. Promised but never delivered. Dreamed of, but destructive when found. 8. The silver dagger cut deeper. Riker clenched his jaw without making a sound. His gaze found Cade's. There was no fear in it. Only acceptance, forgiveness, permission. 7. Arya's thoughts raced. This riddle wasn't about an object. It was about pain. What had Cade searched for during 2 centuries of loneliness? What had fate promised him but never delivered? 6. A mate. The thought struck Arya. Was Selene saying the mate bond itself was the answer? That finding the person destined for you eventually destroyed you? That never having one was better than finding one and losing it? 5. Unless Selene expected Arya to reject Cade, unless she believed discovering his mate only to lose her would break him worse than centuries of loneliness. 4. Hope, Arya shouted. Her voice echoed around the stone circle. The answer is hope. Every face turned toward her. Selene's blade stopped. The human speaks? The riddle wasn't asked of you. Arya forced herself to stand. Ash reached for her, but she shook him off. The riddle is about me. She looked at Selene. You're testing whether I understand what I'm doing to him. Arya, Cade warned. Don't. Arya kept speaking. Hope is something you seek but can never truly keep. The moment you finally grasp it, it becomes reality, and reality never perfectly matches the dream. Selene watched her silently. Hope is promised by fate, by instinct, by the voice telling us tomorrow will be better. But hope exists while you're waiting. Arya looked across the arena at Cade. And when the thing you've hoped for finally arrives, it can destroy you. Because what if you aren't enough? What if you fail? What if the dream was safer than reality? No one spoke. Celine studied Arya with new interest. Clever. The blade moved away from Riker's throat. Very clever. Then she looked at Cade. But she didn't answer for you. I asked you. Hope, Cade said instantly. Understanding filled his face. The answer is hope. Celine narrowed her eyes. And do you agree with your mate's explanation? Cade never looked away from Arya. Every word. Celine became quiet. When she smiled again, it wasn't cruel. It was almost sad. Then perhaps you understand. She gestured toward Riker. Her wolves began removing the chains. Hope is the cruelest gift the moon gives us. It keeps us searching for something that may break us when we finally find it. Riker stumbled. Ash caught him and immediately examined the silver burns. I don't believe that, Cade said. Celine tilted her head. No? No. Cade walked toward Arya. Hope took me to her crash. Hope made me pull her out. And hope will carry us through whatever happens next. He took Arya's hand. The bond flared. Maybe reality will never equal the dream. Maybe I'll fail her 1,000 times. His amber eyes softened. But at least I will have tried. At least I'll have known her. Pain flickered across Celine's face. You speak like someone who hasn't lost yet. Her voice softened. But you will. Hunters, time, bad luck. Eventually something will take her. She looked at Cade. And the hope you're holding will become the thing that destroys you. Then let it. Cade's answer came without hesitation. Because a life without hope isn't a life. Celine turned away. Arya thought she saw tears in those pale eyes. You've survived 2 trials. Celine's voice became neutral again. One remains. Cade's expression hardened. The trial of will. What does it require? Everything. Celine faced them. The final trial is a choice. Her attention settled on Cade. Choose your mate's life, or your brother's freedom. Ash stepped forward. What does that mean? Celine's cold smile returned. I will release Arya. She can return to her human life healed and whole. I will erase every memory of tonight. Shifters, wolves, the mate bond, all of it. Arya went still. She will be safe from hunters and from our world. She won't spend her human life watching those around her outlive her while she grows old. Celine paused. In exchange, Cade, you and your brothers join my pack permanently. You live under my authority. No, Cade said immediately. Celine continued over him. Or Arya remains with you. The bond can complete. She enters our world, marked and hunted. I grant you and your brothers one passage through my territory. Her expression sharpened. But if you keep her, she will suffer. Arya's heart pounded. Every day she remains with you takes her closer to death. The hunters will find her eventually. Riker growled. That's not a choice. That's torture. That's reality, Celine answered. Welcome to the price of hope. Cade tightened his grip around Arya's hand. Through the bond, she felt the conflict tearing through him. Protect her by giving her away. Or keep her and expose her to everything he'd spent centuries fleeing. How long do I have? Cade asked. Until dawn. Celine looked toward the eastern horizon, where gray light had begun appearing. 2 hours. Then she turned away with her wolves. Before disappearing into the forest, she stopped. For what it's worth, Cade. She didn't look back. I hope you choose her freedom. Her voice carried an old wound. Because once, I chose to keep mine. I've regretted it every day since. Then the Blackwater wolves vanished. Riker spoke first. We run now. Run where? Ash asked. She controls the entire mountain. Then we fight. No. Cade's voice stopped both of them. No more fighting. No more running. He let go of Arya and stepped away. Celine is right. Every moment Arya spends with me puts her in danger. The hunters already proved it. Cade, I won't be the reason you die. His voice began to break. My mother died protecting others. My father died buying time for the people he loved. Maybe that's simply what my family does. He pressed his hands against his eyes. We sacrifice ourselves so others can live. Arya felt something crack inside her. You're giving me up. I'm setting you free. Cade looked at her. His eyes were bright. Selene can take your memories. You can return to your life. Your father won't have to worry. You won't spend every day wondering whether hunters are coming. His voice dropped. Maybe this is what love is. Letting go. No. The word came out clear and hard. Everyone looked at Arya. Cade stared. No? No. Arya pushed herself upright despite her ankle. You do not get to choose my future for me. She moved toward him. This is my life, and I'm telling you that I choose you. You don't understand what you're saying. I understand perfectly. Arya closed the distance he'd created. You think pushing me away is protection. It isn't. You're surrendering before we've even begun. Arya, the hunters. They'll still exist if my memories disappear. She cut him off. Did that occur to you? Selene erases my memory. I go back to my human life believing I somehow survived a crash, and I have no idea monsters with rifles are hunting in the mountains. She shook her head. At least beside you, I'll know what I'm fighting. You'll die. Everyone dies, Cade. Arya took both his hands. The question is whether we live first. She held his gaze. I'd rather have 1 year with you, 1 month, 1 day. I'd rather have that than spend an entire safe life wondering what someone erased from me. You're injured. You're not thinking clearly. I've never thought more clearly. Her voice softened. You've spent 200 years losing people. You're so accustomed to grief that you're trying to lose me yourself before someone else can do it. Cade's face tightened. I'm not leaving unless you look me in the eyes and tell me you don't want me. Of course I want you. The confession broke out of him. That's the problem. I want you so badly it terrifies me. Good. Arya pulled him closer. Be terrified. Her voice trembled but didn't fail. Be selfish for once. Choose me, because you can't imagine breathing without me. Isn't that what this bond is supposed to mean? She rested her forehead against his. We're two halves of something neither of us understood before we met. Her breath caught. And I'd rather burn beside you than freeze without you. Silence followed. Ash cleared his throat. She has a compelling argument. A reckless argument, Riker corrected. But approval gleamed in his black and gold eyes. I like her. Cade continued staring at Arya. She felt the battle inside him. Fear against hope. Sacrifice against desire. Please, she whispered. Choose me. Then softer. Choose us. Golden dawn broke across the mountain, and Cade made his decision. Chapter 7. The Betrayal. Cade pulled Arya into his arms and kissed her. There was nothing cautious about it. The kiss was desperate, fierce, tasting of blood, hope, and 200 years of loneliness finally breaking open. The mate bond erupted between them. Arya truly felt it for the first time. Not simply a pull. Completion. Like some part of her had always been searching and had finally recognized home. When they separated, both were breathing hard. I choose you, Cade whispered against her forehead. God help us both. I choose you, Riker grunted. About time. Ash remained practical. We should move. Dawn is here. Selene will want an answer. Almost immediately, the silver alpha emerged from the trees. Her wolves came with her. But something was wrong. The entire pack looked tense. Several kept glancing behind them. You decided? Selene asked. I did. Cade kept Arya close. We stay together. All of us cross your territory. Selene studied them. Then, unexpectedly, she gave them a genuine smile. Sad, but genuine. Good. Ash frowned. Good? That's the answer I hoped you'd choose. Celine's expression sharpened. Because you're going to need one another for what comes next. A branch snapped behind her pack. The wolves spun around. Hackles rose. A man stepped from the trees wearing tactical gear and carrying a rifle. Then another appeared. Then another. Within seconds, 15 armed hunters surrounded them. Every weapon was aimed toward the wolves. Arya went cold. How? I called them. The voice came from behind Celine's wolves. A smaller wolf pushed through the group. It shifted into a young man with narrow features and cold eyes. Last night, while everyone was distracted by your trials, Celine's face turned to ice. Damien, what did you do? What you should have done years ago. Damien walked toward the hunters. These outsiders brought hunters onto our land. They're a threat, so I made an agreement. He looked at Cade and Arya. The hunters take the outsiders and the human. Blackwater keeps its territory. Riker growled. You betrayed your own pack. I saved it. Damien's expression hardened. Celine has ruled for 60 years and made us weak, hiding, avoiding war, letting strangers cross our borders. The old ways are disappearing because she refuses to defend them. One hunter stepped forward, gray hair, cold blue eyes, the kind of face Arya imagined when children spoke about monsters hiding in darkness. He looked like a man who had killed many times and would kill again without hesitation. Captain Eli Thorne, he announced, leader of the Hunters' Coalition. His eyes found Arya. Recognition flickered there. And you must be the girl from the crash, the one my men tracked here. Cade stiffened. Thorne? He looked at Arya. Your surname is Thorne. Captain Thorne smiled. You didn't tell them. Arya stared at him. Tell them what? That your father is one of the greatest shifter hunters in the Northern Territories. Arya's entire body went cold. That you grew up learning skills designed to track and kill werewolves. No. Her voice barely worked. No. My father is Daniel Thorne. He's an accountant. By day. Captain Thorne stepped closer. Several wolves growled. At night, Daniel is the man who helped develop silver ammunition capable of killing a shifter with one shot. He looked toward Celine. The same man who has hunted Blackwater for 20 years. Celine's pale gaze snapped to Arya. You're his daughter. I didn't know. Arya shook her head. I swear I didn't know. He never told me. Of course not, Captain Thorne said. Daniel wanted you innocent. He believed ignorance would keep you safe. He raised his rifle toward Cade. But then you crashed in shifter territory. His smile became cruel. And bonded yourself to the exact kind of creature your father has spent his life exterminating. The mate bond filled with Cade's shock. His wolf recoiled inside him. Arya felt it. She had been raised by a hunter. Trained by one. Even if she'd never understood what the training was really for. Cade. She reached toward him. Please. Cade moved backward by only half a step. It felt like a canyon opening between them. Say no. Captain Thorne laughed softly. Daniel is going to be devastated when he hears that his little girl became a wolf's mate. He turned toward his men. Silver rounds for the wolves. Standard ammunition for the girl. Take her alive. Riker shifted his stance. Like hell you will. 3 rifles immediately aimed at him. Easy, Captain Thorne said. You're outnumbered and outgunned. And thanks to Damien, we know exactly how many of you are here, and where you'll try to escape. He glanced at the young wolf. Good work, pup. You'll receive your payment. Damien smiled. And you'll leave Blackwater territory afterward? Of course. The answer sounded false. Damien didn't notice. Celine did. She tensed to shift. A rifle pressed against her spine. Don't try it, Alpha, Silver will kill you before the transformation finishes. This is madness, Ash said. Arya didn't know what her father was doing. She's innocent. No one is innocent. Captain Thorne cut him off. She carries hunter blood. Daniel trained her even if she didn't understand his reasons. He tapped his temple. Tracking, survival, combat. It's all inside her. His mouth twisted. Wasted on a girl who fell for a wolf. Arya's thoughts reeled. Her father. Gentle Daniel Thorne. The man who cooked soup whenever she was sick. The man who taught her how to understand the forest. A hunter. A killer. Then the memories came. He had taught her to recognize animal tracks with unusual precision. He insisted she learn self-defense. He always wore silver despite claiming to dislike jewelry. He often returned home late, exhausted from what he called overtime at the accounting office. Oh God. Arya looked at Cade. It's true. The bond that had felt beautiful minutes earlier now seemed poisoned by secrets and blood. I didn't know, she whispered. Cade, I swear. His voice was hollow. Knowing doesn't change what you are. The words cut through her. Captain Thorne lifted one hand. His men prepared to fire. Enough talking. He began the count. 3, 2, wait. Celine's voice rang across the arena. You want wolves? She stepped forward. I'll give you wolves. Her pack stared at her. Take all of Blackwater in exchange for letting those 4 go. One of her wolves protested. Alpha, no. Celine silenced him with a look. I'm the prize you've wanted for 60 years. She stared directly at Captain Thorne. Release them, and I'll surrender. Captain Thorne considered the offer. Tempting. Then he smiled. But no, I think I'll take everyone. His hand dropped. Gunfire exploded. Cade threw Arya behind him. Silver bullets tore through the air. Celine shifted instantly and attacked the nearest hunter. Her pack followed. The arena became chaos. Fangs, gunfire, screams. Ash grabbed Arya. Run, the caves. Arya couldn't make herself move. Riker took a bullet through the shoulder. His scream told her immediately that it was Silver. He fell. A Blackwater wolf collapsed nearby, blood pouring from its chest. Cade shifted and launched himself toward Captain Thorne. A barrage of bullets drove him back. Smoking wounds appeared through his dark fur. Arya, move. Ash lifted her bodily and ran. A bullet passed beside her head. Another struck Ash's leg. He staggered but kept going until they crossed into the darkness of the cave. There, Ash collapsed. Your leg. Normal bullet. He pressed his hand over the wound. I'll heal. His face went pale. But Riker took Silver. He looked toward the entrance. And Cade. His voice broke. We have to help them. Arya looked back. Cade was still fighting despite the blood covering him. Riker wasn't moving. Blackwater wolves were being shot down one after another. Strength meant little against silver weapons and superior numbers. And Captain Thorne stood at the center, directing the slaughter with cold efficiency. Arya felt sick. Her bloodline. Her father's work. Her entire hidden inheritance seemed written across that ground in silver and blood. Then she decided. She stood. Ash caught at her arm. What are you doing? Ending this. Arya limped toward the cave mouth. Arya, don't. She walked outside. Every rifle immediately turned toward her. Stop! Her voice echoed over the rocks. Stop shooting! The gunfire faded. I'll go with you. She looked directly at Captain Thorne. Willingly. Just stop killing them. Cade, still a wolf, snarled and tried to position himself between her and the hunters. He was too badly injured. Captain Thorne lowered his weapon. Smart girl, come here. Arya forced herself forward on her damaged ankle. Every instinct from the mate bond screamed at her to turn back toward Cade. She ignored it. Cade shifted into human form. His voice was ragged. Arya, please. I'm a hunter's daughter. She refused to look at him because she knew doing so would destroy her resolve. Maybe this is where I was always supposed to end up. When she reached Captain Thorne, he seized her arm hard enough to bruise. Excellent decision. He smiled toward Cade. Your mate just saved your life. I'd run before I reconsider. Cade stared at Arya with betrayal, desperation, and helpless rage. Then Captain Thorne pressed the barrel of his gun against Arya's head. Of course. His tone remained almost conversational. I never promised to let her live. Chapter 8. The Revelation. Wait! The shout came from Damien. The young wolf stared at Captain Thorne with horror. You said you'd only take the outsiders. You said Blackwater would be left alone. I lied. Captain Thorne didn't move the gun from Arya's temple. Did you truly think we'd allow a shifter pack to keep living because one frightened pup betrayed his alpha? He gestured to the hunters. Kill all of them. Then he looked at Damien. Start with the traitor. Damien went pale. But we had a deal. A shot struck him in the chest before he finished. Damien dropped onto the rocks. Blood spread beneath him. His expression remained frozen in disbelief. No deals with monsters, Captain Thorne said. Rule number 1. Selene shifted into human form. Blood covered her silver hair and wounded body. Her pale eyes blazed. You'll die for this. Probably. Captain Thorne shrugged. But not today. He pushed the gun harder against Arya's head. Here's what happens next. Every wolf shifts human, lies down, and allows my men to put silver chains on you. He looked at Cade. Or I shoot this girl in the head, and we finish the rest the difficult way. Cade took one step forward. Release her. She isn't part of this. She's exactly part of this. Captain Thorne's grip tightened. Daniel Thorne's daughter bonded to a wolf. Do you understand what that makes her? He answered himself. A weakness. He smiled. My old friend can't do his work properly while knowing his daughter is playing house with the enemy. Arya's voice stayed remarkably steady. So you'll kill me to make my father a better hunter? I'll kill you because it's merciful. Captain Thorne almost sounded compassionate. You believe this bond is love. It's a curse. He glanced toward Cade. He will die eventually. Silver round, trap, rival pack. Something will kill him. Then you'll live with a wound in your soul that never closes. His blue eyes returned to Arya. I've seen it happen. Death is kinder. The bond pulsed with Cade's anguish. His wolf was screaming inside him. 15 armed men stood between them. Then another voice came from the cave. Or you could lower that weapon before you lose the hand holding it. Everyone turned. A man stood in the shadows, tall and lean. Dark hair streaked with silver. Storm gray eyes. He carried no visible weapon, but danger seemed to radiate from him. Captain Thorne went pale. Impossible. His voice faltered. You're dead. We killed you 20 years ago. You tried. The stranger stepped into the light. Half of his face was covered in burn scars. Claw marks crossed his throat. You came close. His expression remained calm. But I turned out to be more difficult to kill than you expected. Selene inhaled sharply. Ezra. The name changed the remaining Blackwater wolves instantly. Some lowered their heads. Others whimpered. Arya couldn't tell whether they were afraid or overwhelmed. Hello, Selene. For one moment, Ezra's storm-gray eyes softened. It's been a long time. Captain Thorne tightened his grip on Arya. Who is he? Cade answered quietly. Ezra Blackwater. He stared at the newcomer. The previous alpha. Then Cade added, Selene's mate. Selene looked as if the world had stopped. You died. Her voice carried more emotion than Arya had heard from her since meeting her. I watched you burn. You watched me fall, Ezra corrected gently. The burning happened afterward. A faint smile touched his scarred mouth. Apparently, Some of us are too stubborn to die properly. He surveyed the dead and injured Blackwater wolves. I felt the pack bonds breaking. I felt them dying. His gaze hardened. So I came. Captain Thorne recovered some of his confidence. To do what? You're one wolf against 15 hunters. 14. Ezra spoke casually. The man you placed behind the boulder died about 3 minutes ago. Broken neck. Captain Thorne's expression changed. I'm very quiet when I need to be. One hunter ran to check. He returned grimly. Ezra continued. 13, actually. Your 2 rear guards won't be joining us either. He walked forward despite the weapons following him. So now we have an interesting problem. He stopped. Release the girl. Then leave my territory. Ezra's voice became deadly calm. And if you're fortunate, perhaps I'll let you reach the border before I hunt you down. Captain Thorne gave a forced laugh. Your territory? Celine is alpha now. You're a ghost. Am I? Ezra looked at Celine. Would you like to explain, or shall I? Celine met his eyes. 60 years seemed to pass between them in that one look. Grief. Separation. Loneliness. Something she had believed dead, suddenly standing alive before her. The alpha bond never disappeared, she said. Her voice shook. Even when I believed you were dead, I could still feel you. Like part of my body was missing but somehow still there. She drew in a breath. I ruled because you were gone. Her eyes never left Ezra. But I never truly replaced you because you never truly died. Ezra nodded. And now I've returned. He faced the pack. By pack law, I reclaim my position. The surviving Blackwater wolves moved behind him. Their true alpha had returned. Scarred. Half-burned. But alive. Captain Thorne was clearly recalculating. 13 hunters against 1 wolf should have been overwhelming. But Ezra Blackwater had already survived an execution. Last chance, Ezra said. Let her go. Or what? Captain Thorne pressed the gun against Arya again. You can't kill all of us and save her before I pull this trigger. You're right. Ezra didn't react. I can't. Captain Thorne smiled. Then we're at a stalemate. No. Ezra's gaze moved to Arya. She can. Arya understood. Everything her father had ever taught her suddenly aligned. Every self-defense drill. Every pressure point. Every lesson she'd thought was meant to protect her from ordinary danger. She drove her elbow backward into Captain Thorne's solar plexus. As he gasped, she twisted from his grip and used his momentum against him. He crashed to the ground. The gun skidded across the rocks. For 1 second, everyone froze. Then the fight exploded again. Ezra moved first. 2 hunters fell before either could fire. Celine shifted and attacked another. Cade, wounded but furious, lunged toward the man closest to Arya. But Arya watched Captain Thorne. He crawled toward his fallen gun. Arya was closer. Her hand closed around the weapon. She aimed it at him. Don't. Captain Thorne raised his hands. Arya, listen. Your father. My father lied to me. Her hand remained steady. He lied my entire life. He made me part of this without even telling me. Her voice hardened. Every tracking lesson, every survival exercise, you used all of it to kill innocent people. They aren't people, Captain Thorne spat. They're animals. They're more human than you. Arya tightened her finger around the trigger. Cade was willing to die for me. Celine offered herself to save strangers. Riker led armed hunters away, knowing he might be captured. Her eyes burned. What have you done except lie and kill? Captain Thorne changed tactics. Your father will never forgive you if you shoot me. We've worked together for 20 years. We're friends. Then maybe my father isn't someone I want in my life. A gunshot thundered across the arena. Arya hadn't fired. Captain Thorne stared at the blood spreading across his chest. Confusion crossed his face. Then he fell forward. Behind him, Ash lowered a smoking rifle he'd taken from a dead hunter. He talked too much, Ash said. Then his wounded leg gave out and he collapsed. The surviving hunters saw their commander dead, and several enraged shifters advancing. They ran. Ezra allowed them to escape. For the moment, silence returned. Only moans and ragged breathing remained. Arya dropped the gun and ran toward Cade. He caught her, despite his injuries. They clung to each other. Through the bond came relief, love, and the overwhelming realization that both were alive. "I'm sorry," Arya whispered against him. "I'm so sorry about my father." "You're not your father." Cade's answer was firm. "His choices belong to him, just as I'm not responsible for every rogue wolf who hurts an innocent person." He touched her face. "You're Arya." His voice softened. "And you're mine, if you still want me." "Always," she breathed. Ezra approached with Selene. Up close, his scars were even more severe, but his storm-gray eyes were kind. "Thank you," Cade said, "for saving us. Thank the girl." Ezra looked at Arya. She disarmed him. A hint of approval appeared. "Impressive. Your father may be a monster, but he trained you well." Arya flinched. Cade immediately tightened his arms around her. Ezra's expression became serious. "We need to discuss what happens now." He looked toward the forest. "The hunters know this territory. More will come." Then he looked at Arya. "And Daniel Thorne will come too." Arya's stomach tightened. "He'll come for his daughter." Ezra paused. "And for revenge." The words settled over everyone. Arya had survived Captain Thorne only to face something worse. Her own father. A man who had lied to her for 23 years. A man regarded as one of the most dangerous shifter hunters alive. A man who would see her bond with Cade as betrayal. "Let him come," Arya said. The steel in her own voice surprised her. "I'm finished running." She looked at Cade. "I'm not hiding what I am or who I love." Pride filled Cade's expression. "Then we stand together. All of us," Riker added. Several wolves helped him toward them. He was pale from silver poisoning but still standing. Pack protects pack. He managed a faint grin. Even honorary members. Selene and Ezra exchanged a look. Then Ezra spoke. "Blackwater Pack will give you sanctuary." He looked at Cade, Ash, and Riker. "All three of you." Then at Arya. "And the human carrying hunter blood who chose wolves over her own kind." "Thank you," Ash said as one of the healers began treating his leg. "Don't thank me yet." Ezra looked toward the mountains. Daniel Thorne won't stop until he recovers his daughter or buries her. His expression darkened. "And the coalition will not forgive what happened here." He looked at the wolves surrounding him. "War is coming. The question is whether we're ready when it arrives." Sunlight now covered the blood-soaked arena in gold. Arya stood in Cade's arms among wolves, death, and the promise of future violence. Yet for the first time she could remember, she felt exactly where she belonged. Chapter 9. The Bond Completed. Blackwater's main den lay deep within the mountain. Over centuries, natural caves had been widened and connected until the place resembled an underground village. Torches lined the stone corridors. The air carried smoke, earth, and the unmistakable scent of wolves. Arya sat inside a small infirmary while an older pack healer named Marina cleaned her injuries. The woman had silver-streaked hair pulled into a practical braid and worked with calm efficiency. "You're lucky," Marina said as she wrapped Arya's ankle again. "Another day of abusing this sprain, and you could have caused permanent damage." "I don't feel lucky." Arya winced when Marina tightened the bandage. "People died because of me." "People died because hunters are bastards," Marina replied. She didn't soften the statement. "Don't accept responsibility for someone else's evil. That road drives people mad." Across the room, Ash sat on another bed while a healer removed the bullet from his leg. His face stayed still. but pain tightened his silver eyes. Riker? Arya asked. Alive. Ash clenched his teeth while the healer worked deeper. Silver poisoning is slow, but Riker is stronger than most. He'll survive. And Cade? Ezra is treating him personally, Marina answered. The Alpha wants to speak with him. She glanced toward Arya. Probably about your bond. Arya's stomach tightened. Is something wrong with it? Marina and Ash exchanged a look. Not wrong, Ash said carefully. Incomplete. Arya frowned. You've acknowledged the mate bond. You've felt it, but you haven't sealed it. How do we seal it? The marking ritual, Marina explained. Cade's wolf formally claims you, and you knowingly accept. What exactly am I accepting? Marina's face remained gentle. A permanent mark, usually a bite on the shoulder or neck. It heals into a specific scar that other shifters recognize. She continued. They'll know you're mated and under pack protection. Marina hesitated. But there's more. Ash finished for her. The completed bond ties your lives together. Arya looked at him. His emotions become accessible to you. His pain, his happiness. Ash's expression turned grave. And his lifespan. What does that mean? Completed mates usually live and die together. Arya went still. If one dies, the other normally follows. Sometimes within hours. Sometimes days. If the surviving mate is unusually strong. Arya swallowed. So if Cade dies in this war, you die with him, Ash said. That's the full price of a mate bond. It isn't simply love, Arya. His voice softened. It's forever. Arya sat silently. She thought she had understood what choosing Cade meant. She hadn't. Completing the bond meant attaching her life to his so completely that eventually neither could survive without the other. Can I think about this? Of course, Marina said. She touched Arya's hand. There is no requirement to complete it immediately. Some bonds remain unsealed for years. Then Marina's expression became more serious. But every day you delay, Cade's wolf will suffer. The instinct to claim and complete is primal. Resisting it takes enormous control. Arya looked down. And if I decide never to complete it? No one answered immediately. Finally, Ash did. The bond would eventually break. He chose his words carefully. Cade would live. A pause. Technically, Arya raised her eyes. But he'd be damaged in ways that don't heal. Another impossible choice. Bind her life permanently to a man she had known for less than 2 days. Or walk away and leave him broken. I want to see him, she said. Marina nodded. He's with Ezra in the Alpha Chamber. I'll take you. The Alpha Chamber was enormous. Its ceiling rose 30 feet above them. Crystals trapped in the stone caught torchlight and scattered it across the walls like stars. Ezra and Selene stood near the center. Cade stood between them. His wounds had been cleaned and bandaged. Someone had given him fresh clothing. But his amber eyes remained haunted. Then he saw Arya. The relief on his face made her chest ache. Arya. He spoke her name like a prayer. I'll leave you, Marina said. She retreated. Ezra studied Arya. Marina explained the marking. She did. And? Arya looked at Cade. Then at Ezra. Do I have a deadline? No formal one, Selene answered. But waiting makes the bond harder for both of you. She spoke without cruelty now. You'll feel the pull constantly. Separation may cause phantom pain. Sleep becomes difficult. Concentration becomes worse. And if we complete it? Then your pack, Ezra said. Not merely Cade's mate. Blackwater becomes responsible for you. His expression was absolute. We protect our own to death. Even though I'm human? Arya hesitated. Even though my father is a hunter. Especially because of those things. Ezra's storm-gray eyes remained serious. You chose this pack over blood. Loyalty like that is rare. He nodded once. We don't abandon someone who has proven herself. Emotion tightened Arya's throat. The supposed monsters had offered her acceptance without demanding she pretend to be someone else. "Can Cade and I speak alone?" Ezra looked at Celine. They nodded and left together. The heavy door closed. For the first time since the crash, Arya and Cade were completely alone. "I'm sorry," Cade said immediately. "I should never have." "Stop." Arya went to him. "Stop apologizing for things you didn't choose. You didn't ask for this bond any more than I did. But I want it." His voice broke. "God, Arya, I want it so badly that it scares me." He looked away. "But I will not pressure you. If you need time, take it. If you need distance, I'll give it. If you need to leave. What do you need?" Cade looked back at her. Everything was there in his eyes. Loneliness, fear, hope, love. "You," he whispered. "I need you like I need air." Then he forced himself to continue. "But I need you willing. I need you to choose this because you want it, not because the bond is pushing you, not because you feel guilty, not because you think you owe me." His voice became rough. "I need you to want this as much as I do." Arya lifted both hands to his face. "I crashed my car." A small, shaky smile appeared. 3 wolves who could have left me there pulled me from the wreck instead. You carried me through a forest. You treated my injuries." Tears began running down her cheeks. "I watched you fight for me, bleed for me, and when you believed giving me up would keep me safe, you were willing to sacrifice the thing you'd waited centuries to find." She shook her head. "I've known you for 2 days, Cade, and in those 2 days you've shown me more real care than some people show another person in an entire lifetime." Her smile strengthened. "So yes, I want this." She held his gaze. "I choose this. Then, I choose you." The sound Cade made was half laugh and half sob. "You're sure? I'm terrified." Arya didn't pretend otherwise. "But I'm sure." Cade pulled her into him. The bond flared like lightning. "The marking will hurt," he whispered into her hair. "Not terribly, but I know." Arya tilted her head, exposing her neck and shoulder. Marina explained. Cade stared at her. "If you do this, there is no going back." His voice became strained. "We'll be bound completely. Forever." "Good." Arya remained steady. "I'm finished running from destiny or fate or whatever brought us together." She exposed her neck farther. "Mark me, Cade." Her heart thundered. "Make me yours." Gold flooded his eyes. She felt his control beginning to fracture. "Here?" he asked. "Now?" "Here." Arya swallowed. "Now, before I lose my nerve." Cade framed her face between his hands. He kissed her with tenderness and desperation, carrying 2 centuries of waiting in one touch. When they separated, his canines had lengthened. His eyes burned amber gold. "I love you," he whispered. "I'll love you until the day we die." His forehead rested against hers. "And if anything exists afterward, I'll love you there too." "Then prove it," Arya breathed. Cade lowered his mouth to the place where her neck met her shoulder. She felt his hot breath, the points of his teeth, the mate bond gathering inside her like an approaching storm. Then Cade bit down. Pain flashed through Arya, sharp, bright, right. The bond exploded, no longer a tentative thread, a flood. Cade's emotions poured through her. Love, relief, possessive protection, his wolf's triumphant joy. Everything he'd been holding back reached her at once. Something inside Arya changed. Her body remained human. But she could feel Cade differently now. His heartbeat seemed almost as clear as her own. She could feel the Blackwater pack bond spreading outward from Ezra and Celine like a web, and through Cade, her own thread joined it. Arya was pack, completely. When Cade finally lifted his mouth, blood remained on his lips. The wound on her shoulder had already begun closing. She knew the scar would remain forever. "How do you feel?" Cade asked. There was reverence in his voice. Arya considered the question. The pain was fading. Warmth spread from the mark through her body. She felt anchored, connected, complete. Like I've been wandering my entire life, she said softly. And I finally found home. Cade smiled. He kissed her again, gently this time. She tasted her own blood and the salt of his tears. The chamber door opened. Ezra entered with Selene. He saw the bite immediately. It's done. It wasn't really a question. It's done, Cade confirmed. Ezra nodded. Then welcome to Blackwater Pack, Arya Thorne. A faint smile touched his scarred face. May your bond remain strong and your enemies remain foolish. Selene stepped closer and examined the wound. Clean. It will scar well. Her icy eyes softened. You chose courageously. Not many humans would bind themselves to a wolf while a war is beginning. Maybe I'm only stubborn. Stubborn keeps people alive. Selene almost smiled. I like you, Hunter's daughter. You have a spine. A long howl suddenly echoed through the caves. Warning. Ezra's expression changed immediately. The perimeter watch. He turned. Someone is coming. Blackwater wolves began moving through the corridors with practiced speed. Ezra headed toward the entrance with Selene. Cade stayed close to Arya. They reached the main cave. Ash was supporting Riker. Both looked grim. What is it? Cade demanded. Hunters, Riker answered. The silver poisoning had weakened his voice, but not his authority. At least 50. Cade stiffened. Maybe more. Riker looked toward the cave mouth. And they're being led by... A voice echoed from outside. Warm. Familiar. The same voice that had read bedtime stories to Arya. The voice that taught her to recognize deer tracks. The voice that had told her he loved her every day of her childhood. Arya. She stopped breathing. Arya, sweetheart, I know you're in there. Daniel Thorne's voice filled the cave. Come outside. A pause. Let's talk. Please. Arya went cold. Her father had come. And he'd brought an army. Chapter 10. The Choice. Arya couldn't move. Her father's voice echoed through the stone corridors like something from a life that had already disappeared. Arya, please. Daniel sounded emotional. I know what Captain Thorne tried to do. I know you're frightened. His voice softened. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to bring you home. Cade found Arya's hand. Through the completed bond, she felt his uncertainty, his need to protect her, his willingness to fight, run, or follow whatever choice she made. What do you want? He whispered. Arya looked at him. 2 days. That was all. Yet it felt like she had known him far longer. Then she looked at Ezra and Selene, at Ash and Riker, at the Blackwater wolves who had accepted the daughter of a hunter. I want to speak to him. She took a breath. Alone. Absolutely not. Cade's answer came instantly. He brought 50 armed hunters. The second they believe he's in danger, they'll fire. I have to end this before more people die. Arya looked toward the entrance. Before my father does something neither of us can undo. She's right, Ezra said grimly. Cade looked at him in disbelief. If 50 hunters enter these tunnels, we'll be slaughtered. Gunfire echoes through stone, and silver bullets don't need much room. Selene studied Arya. You believe you can convince him to leave? I don't know. Arya touched the fresh scar on her shoulder. But I have to try. Then I'm going with you, Cade said. No. Arya placed both hands against his chest. He has to see me alone. She looked directly into his amber eyes. If you're standing beside me, he'll believe you're controlling me. I need him to understand that I chose you freely. The wolf inside Cade rebelled so strongly Arya could feel it through the bond. Everything in him screamed to protect her. Eventually, painfully, he nodded. 5 minutes. His voice was hoarse. If you're not back after 5 minutes, I'm coming after you. His eyes burned. 50 hunters or 500? Arya kissed him once. Then she turned toward the cave entrance. Outside, morning sunlight blinded her. As her eyes adjusted, she saw them. Dozens of armed hunters formed a perimeter around the rocky plateau. Weapons pointed toward the cave. At the center stood her father. Daniel Thorne looked older than she remembered. More gray streaked his sandy hair. More lines marked his face. But the warm brown eyes that had comforted her through nightmares were unchanged. Arya. Her name came out like a sob. Daniel stepped toward her. 10 rifles immediately tracked the movement. "Don't shoot," he barked. Then to his men, "Stand down." The weapons lowered slightly. Tension remained. "Hi, Dad," Arya said. Daniel's eyes swept over her injuries with the efficiency of someone far more experienced than an accountant. Then he saw the scar at her neck. All color left his face. "No." His voice fell apart. "Please tell me you didn't." "I did." Arya forced herself steady. "I completed the mate bond." She touched the mark. "I'm Blackwater Pack now." Daniel staggered as if she'd hit him. "Arya, you don't understand. That isn't love. That isn't choice. It's compulsion." He shook his head. "They've manipulated you, made you believe. No one manipulated me." Arya stepped toward him. "Cade offered me every possible way out." Daniel stared. "He was willing to let Celine erase my memories. He would have broken the bond and lived with the damage if that was what I chose." She held her father's gaze. "Does that sound like someone controlling me?" "They told you exactly what you needed to hear." Daniel's desperation increased. "I've studied these creatures for 20 years. I know how they manipulate humans." Arya's expression hardened. "Like you manipulated me?" Daniel flinched. 23 years of lies, Dad." Her voice started to break. 23 years of teaching me tracking and combat and never telling me why. "Arya, you made me part of your hunting without my consent. I was protecting you. You were using me." The words came through tears. "Every camping trip, every survival lesson, every time you taught me to follow tracks or attack weak points." She shook her head. "You were training me to become a hunter. I taught you those things so you could survive." Daniel's voice turned desperate. "There are monsters in this world, Arya. Real ones. I needed you ready in case they ever found you. Is that what you tell yourself?" Arya looked at the rifles surrounding them. "That you're protecting people?" Her voice softened. "Because from where I'm standing, you're the monster, Dad." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You kill families. People who've done nothing to you except exist differently. They aren't people." His composure cracked. "They're animals wearing human faces. They kill for sport, territory, pleasure. For survival." Arya interrupted him. "Exactly like humans do." She looked around at his men. "The difference is that wolves don't dress murder in uniforms and procedures and call it justice." Daniel fell silent. Pain twisted his face. Then he asked a question Arya wasn't prepared for. "Did he tell you what happened to your mother?" Arya froze. "What?" "Your mother." Daniel's voice became hollow. "She didn't die in a car accident." Arya stared at him. "That was the story I gave you, because you were too young for the truth." He swallowed. "Your mother was killed by a rogue wolf." Arya's world shifted. "No. I watched it happen." Each word seemed to hurt Daniel. "I couldn't save her." He drew a trembling breath. "I wasn't a hunter then. I was an ordinary man with an ordinary life." His brown eyes filled with tears. "After I buried what was left of your mother, I swore every wolf in these mountains would pay." Arya couldn't speak. "I joined the coalition. I trained. I learned how to hunt the creatures that destroyed my family." Daniel looked at his daughter. "Everything I've done was for her." Then his voice broke. "And for you." Tears ran down Arya's face. "Come home." Daniel extended his hand. Please, sweetheart. For a moment, he looked only like her father again. We can repair this. There are rituals that break mate bonds. It'll hurt, but you'll be free. His hand remained out. You can have your old life back. Arya wavered. This was the man who had raised her, protected her, comforted her through childhood illness, injuries, and heartbreak. How could she choose wolves she had known for days over her own father? Then the mate bond pulsed. Cade. Warm. Steady. He wasn't forcing an answer through the connection, only giving her love and complete trust. Whatever she decided, he would accept it. Beyond him, Arya sensed the pack, a web of lives that had already begun supporting hers. She remembered Cade bleeding in Celene's trial, Riker deliberately drawing hunters away, Ash taking a bullet, Selene offering her own life for strangers, then Captain Thorne, Damien, the bodies, an army now surrounding the cave because everyone inside belonged to the wrong species. I'm sorry about Mom, Arya said. Daniel's hand remained extended. I'm sorry you lost her. Arya wiped her tears. And I'm sorry you've carried that pain for 23 years. Then she lowered her hand. Daniel's remained empty. But I'm not coming home. His face crumpled. Arya. The wolves didn't kill Mom. Arya kept her voice calm. One rogue wolf did. There's no difference. There is. She stepped closer. One criminal doesn't make an entire species guilty. Daniel shook his head. You taught me that yourself. He stopped. When I was 8, Arya continued, and I became afraid of strangers after that man tried to grab me in the park. You told me not to judge everyone by the actions of one person. That's different. It isn't. Arya's voice strengthened. You punished an entire species because one wolf killed Mom. She looked into his eyes. And while trying to destroy monsters, you became exactly what you hated. Daniel's breathing changed. A killer without mercy. I have mercy. Daniel gestured toward her. I'm showing it right now by giving you a way out. Then he looked toward the cave. But if you refuse, he motioned toward his army. I have orders from the coalition. His expression hardened. Every wolf inside that mountain is marked for death. Arya's stomach tightened. Daniel added, including the one who marked you. Silence stretched between them. Then you'll have to kill me too. Daniel stared at her. Arya's voice remained calm. Because I won't let you murder my pack. Her eyes filled again. And yes, Dad, they are my pack. She pressed one hand over her mark. My family, Daniel whispered. I can't lose you. His face twisted with grief. You're all I have left of your mother. Then don't lose me. Arya stepped close enough to touch him. Walk away. Daniel stared at her. Tell the coalition we escaped through the tunnels. Tell them whatever keeps your men from firing. Her voice softened. Please, Dad. Daniel's face revealed the battle within him. Father against hunter. Duty against love. His daughter against everything he'd sworn to destroy. If I let them go, his voice broke. The coalition will call me a traitor. He looked toward his own soldiers. They'll hunt me too. Then come with us. Arya surprised herself. Not as a hunter. She reached toward him. As my father. Daniel's eyes filled with pain. We can protect you. The pack can. I can't. His answer was hollow. I've killed too many of them, Arya. There's too much blood between us. He looked toward the cave. They would never accept me, and I wouldn't blame them. Then what do we do? Arya's voice rose. Stand here until someone gets nervous and starts shooting? Daniel looked past her toward the cave entrance. Then his eyes returned to the permanent mark on his daughter's shoulder. Finally he spoke. I have another daughter. Arya stared at him. What? In the city, Stephanie. He swallowed. She's close to your age. Her mother was my second wife. She left years ago, but Stephanie stayed. Arya was too stunned to interrupt. Stephanie doesn't know about the hunting either. Daniel looked ashamed. I kept her outside it, the same way I tried to protect you. He took a breath. If I let you leave, I need you to promise me something. What? If anything happens to me, watch over her. Daniel's voice grew urgent. Protect her from the coalition, from rogue wolves, from this entire world. He met Arya's eyes. Promise me. Arya swallowed against the tightness in her throat. I promise. Daniel slowly nodded. Then he turned toward his hunters. Stand down. One man frowned. Sir, our orders. I said stand down. Daniel's voice suddenly carried 20 years of command. The wolves escaped through the rear tunnels. We were too late. The hunter looked confused. But sir, the cave is completely surrounded. Daniel turned his coldest expression on him. Are you questioning my official report? The soldier went still. Because we can discuss your concerns before coalition oversight. We can also explain how 50 trained hunters allowed a handful of wolves to outmaneuver them. The man's face paled. No, sir. He lowered his rifle. You're right. They must have escaped. Daniel looked at Arya one final time. Go. His voice was quiet now. Before I change my mind. He looked exhausted. Before my conscience catches up with my heart. Arya wanted to hug him, wanted to tell him she loved him, wanted somehow to close the distance between the father she'd known and the hunter standing before her. But there was too much blood in that distance. Too many lies. Thank you, she whispered. Don't. Daniel's voice turned raw. Just be happy. He looked toward the cave. Live well. Love that wolf of yours with everything you have. A sad smile touched his face. Life is too short for regret. He looked down. And I already have enough regret for both of us. Daniel ordered his men to withdraw. The hunters began moving toward the forest in controlled formation. He remained behind for several seconds, looking at his daughter. Alive, marked, chosen by wolves. Then Daniel turned and walked away. Arya watched him disappear among the trees. The mate bond pulled her toward Cade, but she needed one final moment. One moment to say goodbye to the life she had known, and to the father she had thought she understood. I love you, Dad, she whispered into the empty mountain air. Then she turned toward the cave. The second she crossed the threshold, Cade pulled her into his arms. Arya buried her face against his chest. She cried for her mother, for her father, for the girl she'd been only 3 days earlier. It's over, Cade whispered into her hair. You're safe. He held her tighter. We're safe. Ezra approached with Selene. Your father is a remarkable man, Ezra said quietly. Conflicted, broken, but remarkable. His scarred expression became thoughtful. Few hunters would have made the choice he just made. Will he be all right? Arya asked. I don't know. Ezra looked toward the cave entrance. But he gave you something valuable. His storm-gray eyes returned to her. A chance. He paused. Don't waste it. Arya wiped her tears. Around her, black water gathered. Ash, Riker, Marina, warriors, healers, elders, young pups watching the new human member of their pack with wide curiosity. These were her people now, her family. Selene stepped forward. The pack accepts you, Arya Thorne. Her voice carried through the cave. Not only because you're Cade's mate. Selene's pale gaze held hers. You've proven your courage, loyalty, and strength. Then she said, Welcome home. The entire pack howled. The sound began low and rose until it shook the stone walls. Arya felt it through Cade, through the pack bond, through every part of herself. She was home. 3 months later, Arya sat on a cliff overlooking the valley, while sunset painted the mountains gold and crimson. Autumn had turned cold. Snow would arrive soon. Cade came out of the forest carrying firewood for their camp. During those 3 months, he had taught Arya to hunt and track, expanding skills her father had begun teaching years earlier. She trained with Blackwater warriors as well. This time, she understood exactly what she was preparing for. Not some unnamed danger. The real threats of the world she'd chosen. Cade sat beside her. "You're thinking too loudly." Arya glanced at him. He smiled. "I can feel it through the bond." She leaned against him. "I received a letter today." Cade felt her tension immediately. From Stephanie. His body stiffened. "My sister." Arya swallowed. "She wants to meet me." Cade waited. "She said our father told her everything before he—" Arya couldn't finish at first. Then she forced out the words. "Before the coalition executed him for treason." Cade pulled her closer. "I'm sorry." "Me too." Arya blinked back tears. "But he kept the promise he made that day." She pulled the letter from her pocket. "He protected Stephanie. And before he died, he told her how to find me if she ever needed help." Arya unfolded the page and read the final lines again. "I don't understand what you are now, or what our father became. But you're my sister, and I need family. Please write back." Cade looked at her. "Will you?" Arya gazed over Blackwater territory. Below them, wolves moved across the valley. Training, hunting, living. "Yes." The answer came easily. "Family is still family." She smiled faintly. "Even when it's complicated." Cade kissed her temple. "You're going to be an amazing big sister. I learned from the best." Arya thought about Ash and Riker, Celine and Ezra, the entire pack that had accepted her. Stars began appearing over the mountains. Arya thought about the road that had brought her there. The crash. 3 wolves pulling her from a wreck. A father who had eventually loved her enough to let her go. A mate bond that had changed her understanding of everything. She had lost one family and gained another. She had discovered truths powerful enough to shatter the world she knew and force her to build a new one. She had learned that monsters weren't defined by species. They were defined by choices. And she had learned something else. Hope could destroy a person. But if they were brave enough to hold on to it, hope could also save them. Cade slipped his hand into hers. Their mate bond hummed between them. Steady. Unbreakable. "Ready to go home?" he asked. Arya squeezed his hand. Beyond him, she could feel the pack bonds calling her toward the den. Toward warmth. Family. Belonging. "Yeah." Arya stood and pulled Cade up beside her. "Let's go home." Together, Wolf and Hunter's daughter ran into the gathering darkness. 2 souls joined by fate, choice, and love. Toward the future they had fought so hard to claim.